Welcome back to the Atlas Sidewalk Sale. We're playing 20 Questions with.
I'm David Oscarson. We've been in the pen business for 25 years. Many of you may know who we are. If you don't, we're going to answer some questions here today.
All right. When I say fountain pen, what pen do you think of?
I think of my Deus Regit that's in my left pocket.
All right. How did you get into pens?
I kind of fell into it. I had a jewelry background, I had a retail background, and then there was a point I decided I'm going to marry my jewelry background with the pen aspect, and as you can see, all of these pens that we're going to talk about are created in a jewelry fashion.
Yep. What was your first pen?
First pen was this one right here, the Henrik Wigström. This was the year 2000.
Oh, the year I was born.
This was a tribute to one of Fabergé's head workmasters.
What is your current daily driver?
That would be either the 25th anniversary, the Art Nouveau, or like I said, my Deus Regit. I also have an Art Deco 15th anniversary on my desk.
Okay.
So 3.
You can have 3. I've got like 10. What's your favorite ink?
My go-to is usually our 20th anniversary teal ink that's made in Austria.
Okay. What is your favorite brand of either pens or ink?
My favorite, well, besides our own, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, we're friends with everybody in the industry. Probably would lean towards the higher end pieces. You know, the Mont Blanc people have been around forever, Cartier, but there's also the Italians, Montegrappa, Visconti, and then St. Dupont. Those are the ones we probably watch the most.
All right. Vintage or modern?
Always modern. Someday these will be vintage.
Yeah. Do you swatch all your inks?
We don't produce ink, so no.
Do you daily drive the same ink and pen combination, or do you switch it up?
Depends on where I am. If I'm out traveling, if I'm in my office, or if I'm at home.
Do you keep the writing samples of your nibs so you know how every pen writes, or do you just know what's in every pen?
We offer a fine, a medium, and a broad point nib in 18 karat. I'm pretty familiar with those, so I do not need to have writing samples of those.
Fair enough. You're not one of the people that gets custom on everything.
No, but there are nib grinders here for those of you who want something extra broad or oblique. Kirk Spears can help you out. I mean,
yeah.
Usually they'll just take one of our fine, mediums, or broads and have it adjusted.
Yeah. Is there a pen you wish you could see in person?
A pen that was... I think I've seen all the pens in person that after a quarter century, I've seen quite a few. Yeah.
Fair enough. What's your current grail?
My current grail? It's the next 2 designs I'm working on in the workshop in London right now.
Fair enough. What pen would you recommend to a beginner?
Probably the Pilot Varsity.
Okay. What ink would you recommend to a beginner?
I used to know the answer to that question. For a beginner, there are probably a dozen different brands in here that I think would be equally wonderful until you get into some of the higher end Pilot, Namiki, and some of those higher end inks. I think it's not going to matter that much.
Fair enough. What advice would you have for somebody wanting to try out fountain pens who might be a bit intimidated by the hobby?
Oh, come into one of these shows or one of the pen shows around the country. There's a schedule on Pen World's website for pen shows. That's a great opportunity to test and try things out and just see what's available.
Yes.
Big divider, new versus vintage.
Huge.
Big divider.
A huge difference. What filling mechanism do you think is most interesting, regardless of if you actually like to use it or not?
We make a rollerball version of everything, every design, but the fountain pen, our fountain pen, accepts an international standard cartridge, also a piston converter, but also you can use an eyedropper. That's probably the most interesting, and there's a video on our website on the frequently asked questions. How do I fill my fountain pen? And some of your folks might get a kick out of that. It's pretty intricate, but it's a huge reservoir.
I will leave a link to it. How huge? How many mils?
Oh, it depends on the pen. It's about
Fair enough. Yeah. What size of nib do you prefer to write with?
I have a medium on all of my pens, except for an architectural grind that I have on a special piece in my office that Kirk Spears ground for me down in Houston about a year ago.
Love Kirk for things like that. Is there a style of nib you love or find interesting but would never actually use?
Yeah, some of the oblique and double broads, some of the calligraphic, I think it's beautiful. My penmanship is all right. That would be more of a signature piece for me than a big letter. Not that fancy, actually.
Yeah, same. Do you always use the same paper? If so, what paper? If not, what paper do you prefer?
That is, the paper world is probably not my area of expertise. So I know there's a plethora
So many.
of beautiful papers here. I've been to Japan, to Itoya, and seen some beautiful things.
Are you sort of a write on anything you have paper person?
Well, for the office, yes, but for correspondence, I'll pick up at some of these pen stores. I'll just pick up. I'm not a connoisseur, but it's not printer paper.
Least favorite ink color family?
Red.
Fair. Well, thanks for playing 20 questions.
Thanks, everybody.